Hello everyone, and welcome to On the Workbench. In this mini-series within a series, we're going to see how I create some enchanted forests. But I want to do something very different for this particular series of videos. I want to tie it into some kind of narrative or story that'll make the videos a little more interesting. So we're going to look at a hypothetical continent, a continent that I've been working on. I've been doing some world building, and this is the continent of Tethya. Now, the great continent of Tethya is in a southern location, south of an even greater landmass called Tethys-Kern. Tethys-Kern is to the north, Tethya to the south. So for today, as we look at these jungle terrain pieces that I will be making, we're going to tie it into that narrative. We're going to look into the great forests of Tethya. These jungles have some of the largest trees in the world, and these trees are so immense that many civilizations build small cities on their canopies. So now let's continue to the project, and we're going to start with tropical jungles. There is a lot of use for this kind of environment, and the way I like to design my jungles is with very large trees, a lot of vines, a lot of thicket, and these are terrain pieces that usually decorate the edges or corners of the table and leaving the middle of the table with smaller scatter terrain pieces for playing. All right, so let's go to the tabletop and check out, because there's quite a few pieces that I want to show. For my big tree husk, I like to add some shelf mushrooms, and these are done in Procreate, little globs of Procreate, which I then flatten with my fingers and gently, ever so gently, pull a little bit to create little shells, and these have to dry completely. And you can paint these in a creamy color. I also paint them in brighter colors. You can see all of the little fungi right down there. I added quite a few to this log, to this tree, and I have to let these dry before I can paint them, and I can paint them in brighter oranges as well. And since these are fantasy tables, we can make our mushrooms glowing. We don't have to stick to the usual drabbiness of some of these shelf fungi. And in nature, some of these things are really colorful, especially in the tropics. Fantasy vegetation does not have to be at all normal. It could be as alien as you want it to be. And I want to give a shout out to a subscriber who a couple of years ago actually recommended this, burning some straws at the tip. Please do this in a very well ventilated area. Do not ever smell the whatever fumes come out of this. Okay, please work in a ventilated area. Use a mask, or use any heat source that you use. You could use a heat gun and have these tips burned up, and so you get these strange crown tips on the straw. And I went a step further and actually burned some holes into the straws and then connected them with hot glue in order to make some branchiness. Now these could be giant mushrooms, fungi rather, or they can be what I'm going to use them for is giant carnivorous plants. They'll be like pitcher plants, but very, very large. Now you'll notice that there is glue, white glue here. Okay, and I'm just going to make sure I spread my white glue. And then we give it a little coating of flour, and that'll give it texture. It will also help paint stick to it, and it will protect the straws as well. All right, so I'm going to add some flour, and then this will be ready to paint once everything is dry. We're going to put it out in the sun. It'll dry quickly, and they will look very interesting. To make big trees like that, I usually like to take my paper towel rolls and just squish them up a little bit and then give them a nice twist. At least as many as you want, 3, 4, 5, 6, whatever you have available. Once my tubes are nice and twisty, all I do is slit the bottom and widen the bottom and then hot glue it to its base. This one stands on its own, and so basically, and then trim the bottom so that it's nice and straight, and it gives you this nice fanned section in the bottom that can later be decorated with roots or whatever you want. These will be more tropical trees for a jungle that I am building. So these are going to be fantasy jungle trees with these enormous leaves. Because of the elemental magic in the region, these trees grow enormous. And so that is my sort of storyline for being able to use such out-of-scale vegetation. This is from the dollar store. Can't get any cheaper than that. And a lot of times what I will do, if I want this to be fern-shaped, I will cut with a scissor the fern leaves and then use that in my trees. Now what I may do is just keep these like the prehistoric trees that I've seen in some photos where they're more a large trunk. Sometimes the trunk comes out here to the side. In the Jurassic period you had these kinds of trees. So once the massive leaves have been attached to this cardboard trunk, I work on the base a little bit, adding larger stones with hot glue in order to provide some ballast. And then I decorate the tree trunk with fuzzy sticks, which I burn in order to represent vines wrapping around. And here's another example. And here's an example of the base with the river gravel, and I'm about to add the fresh kitty litter. For my big palm tree things here, I then take some hot glue and I texture all of the tree trunk using the hot glue. This is DM Scotty's method of texturing things, and this is a method that has been with me for a very long time, inspired by DM Scotty, and I've used it in many different occasions and different varieties of terrain. This is the easiest way to get things textured, and it's very inexpensive. Now that all the trees are textured with hot glue, now we can start painting. Once everything is painted and finished, we can decorate the bases with some large vegetation as well. And I have a couple of interesting pieces here. Not too many of these big ones, maybe one each base, just to really reinforce that very strong elemental magic. All right, and so here we have a bench completely covered in terrain, and this is all jungle terrain, and not bad for one day, not bad for one day. Okay, well now it's time to recap. I've finished all of my terrain and still have a good amount of flocking powder, which is good. And now it's really really interesting how flocking powder makes such a difference. Just the idea of adding flocking powder really makes a difference in your terrain, no matter how low budget it is. Here's that tree I was working on earlier. Everything is drying still. And this is one of my favorites. I don't know why, maybe because it's so bizarre. And this is a lornwood tree from the Lornic region of Tethya. And these trees are very interesting because they form a symbiotic relationship with a giant moss, which provides the plant with nutrients. But it is said, if you are of the herbalist inclination, it is said that those flower buds contain substances, alchemical substances that are great for healing potions. So if you're ever in the Lornic region of Tethya, if your characters are, do look for it. However, there is one problem, because these guys are viciously protected by a species of giant ant. Oh yeah, so do be careful. All right, and now let me just give a quick comment on this. I absolutely love this new method. I always swore by my paper mache, but this is 100 times easier. And all I did was give a little dry brush of a caramel color to, get all of the hot glue texturing so that it can pop out. And I love how it looks. I mean, it really looks almost like root systems or just something on the bark, right? And then all the holes in the bark and everything. I really like it. I really like it. So I think that this is going to be a new method for me. I'm going to explore this further with other kinds of trees. I think this works very good in tropical settings because the vines kind of hold the tree together, and then the hot glue stiffens everything. Okay, so my prognosis on that experiment, not bad. I like the way these strange palm trees or fern tree, well, they're not ferns. I didn't cut the leaves to look like ferns. But these trees definitely, they look cool. And I love the caramel color, the way I used a contrast of dark umber for the background, and then for the hot glue texturing I used the caramel color, which seems to work very well as a color. Okay, so thumbs up on the palm trees. And if I don't think something works for me, I don't do it. I just say it. It didn't work for me. It's not good. But I like it. I like this. Not bad. So I made 3 of those palm trees. Not bad for all this time. It only took a day of building and then finishing up with the flocking powder today. Here is that pitcher plant or carnivorous plant. And then I recycled another dollar store plant stock. I save all those plant stalks. Don't throw them away. You can use them and make other kinds of plants and weird things for your alien forests and stuff. So not bad. I like this technique also. I modified it a little bit, and sometimes I sculpt little creepy crawlies coming out of there, depending what I'm saying that this is. If it's like a pitcher plant, maybe there's an insect that's immune to the digestive juices, and it goes in there and it grabs the dying insects that are in there. So what else do I have? Then I just made a bunch of these very small scatter terrain pieces. And here is the big husk with the mushrooms on it, little clay mushrooms, and a little bit of flocking powder. Again, flocking powder is it really does enhance your builds, you know. It just adds to it. So an empty husk of a tree, it just gives it character. Okay, so that's going to be another rainforest tree, but it could be used in any setting. And then we got this one. This is just a conglomerate of different dollar store plants that I took apart, mixed and matched, and that's a good way to make new trees. All using dollar store stuff, nothing else. And then I'm going to be upgrading my clip-on terrain. This is very important. I'm beginning to upgrade this because I'm going to be using a lot of this, and also making my own. I'm going to be upgrading this and making more of these things out of tinfoil. All right, so stay tuned. There will be more builds in August, Scratch Builder Monthly, and there's a new section in the magazine. For those of you that support the magazine, there's a new section called Telling a Story with Your Scratch Builds. And that's articles that I will add, basically what I did today in the video, with maps and lore and stuff that I make up for my own games. All right, so look out for it in Scratch Builder Monthly, August. All right, folks, that's enough. Thank you so much. I hope that you enjoyed this on the workbench. This is another big project, but a slow project. And next time we're going to look at vines. We're going to look at rivers and waterfalls and water, because these are jungles. And then we will move on to other regions of the map. Okay, so we're probably going to go in deeper into the Tethian jungle for a bit, and maybe even touch on the Fey realm. And that's going to bring some really alien plants to discovery. All right, folks, thank you so much, and thank you for your support. Thank you, patrons, for all your support, and we'll talk very, very soon.